Hi, welcome to the quiz. You will be presented with multiple choice questions, each displayed on screen for a short time. Please make sure to attempt answering all the questions. Quizzes help us to reinforce our knowledge, identify areas where we need to focus more, and improve our overall performance. Taking quizzes can also help to increase retention and make the learning process more engaging and enjoyable. With that out of the way, you can answer along on quizalto.com. The exact URL of this quiz will be in the notes down below. Let's get started. Good luck. In AWS Application Cost Profiler, how are data transfer costs typically allocated? Entirely to the application with the most data transfer. Based on each application's data flow patterns. To the application that initiated the most connections. Equally among all internet-facing applications. In AWS Application Cost Profiler, how are machine learning model training costs allocated? Based on each application's GPU and data usage. Entirely to the AI or ML department. Equally among all ML-enabled apps. To the application with the most model versions. What is the role of AWS organizations in the context of AWS Application Cost Profiler? To set service control policies. To manage application permissions. To apply cost allocation across multiple AWS accounts. To create organizational units for applications. In AWS Application Cost Profiler, what is a cost allocation rule? A discount applied to bulk resource usage. A set of criteria to assign shared costs to specific applications. A pricing model for AWS services. A budgeting limit for AWS spending. In AWS Application Cost Profiler, what does usage-based allocation refer to? Distributing costs based on each application's resource consumption. Billing according to compute hours used. Charging based on the number of API calls. Pricing determined by data transfer volume. What type of AWS cost and usage report is required for AWS Application Cost Profiler? Account level CUR. Region level CUR. Resource level CUR. Service level CUR. Which AWS service can provide insights to refine application cost profilers rules over time? AWS Cost Explorer. AWS Config. AWS CloudTrail. AWS X-Ray. How does AWS Application Cost Profiler handle cost allocation during disaster recovery drills? By ignoring costs during DR exercises. By allocating all DR costs to the IT department. By using specific tags for DR resources. By distributing DR costs across all critical apps. In AWS Application Cost Profiler, how are costs allocated for shared Amazon S3 buckets? Equally among all applications using the bucket. Based on each application's storage and request patterns. To the application with the most data stored. Entirely to the application that owns the bucket. Which AWS tool can help identify applications that would benefit most from AWS Application Cost Profiler? AWS Migration Hub, AWS Application Discovery Service, AWS Application Migration Service, AWS Cost Explorer. What is the purpose of cost allocation splits in AWS Application Cost Profiler? To differentiate peak and off-peak pricing. To separate fixed and variable costs. To divide a resource's cost among multiple applications. To distinguish between CPU and memory costs. In AWS Application Cost Profiler, what is the purpose of the Application Mapping feature? To link applications with AWS accounts. To map applications to AWS regions. To connect applications with cost centers. To associate resources with specific applications. What is the purpose of the allocation period setting in AWS Application Cost Profiler? To set the billing cycle duration. To determine when to update pricing. To define how often costs are distributed to applications. To schedule cost report generation. How does AWS Application Cost Profiler handle cost allocation for auto-scaling groups? By distributing costs equally among all applications. By using tags or custom rules to associate with applications. By assigning all costs to the primary application. By excluding auto-scaling costs from allocation. Which of the following is not a typical shared resource that AWS Application Cost Profiler helps allocate? Dedicated EC2 instances. Elastic load balancers. NAT gateways. AWS Direct Connect. Which of the following is not a valid cost allocation method in AWS Application Cost Profiler? Fixed percentage. Equal split. Proportional usage. Resource ownership. How does AWS Application Cost Profiler handle cost allocation for applications using AWS Fargate? By allocating to the primary container. By charging based on the number of tasks. By distributing costs across all ECS clusters. By analyzing task execution metrics. In AWS Application Cost Profiler, how are database proxy costs allocated? Entirely to the application with most queries. Equally among all database using apps. To the application that provisioned the proxy. Based on each application's connection usage. Which AWS service can Application Cost Profiler use to allocate costs in a microservices architecture? AWS X-Ray. AWS Cloud Map. Amazon ECS. AWS App Mesh. In AWS Application Cost Profiler, how are costs handled for resources used in application testing? By allocating to the production version of the app. By distributing among all applications in development. By ignoring test environment costs. By tagging with a test identifier for separate allocation. Which AWS service can help automate the updating of application cost profiler rules? AWS Lambda, AWS Fargate, AWS Batch, AWS Step Functions. How does AWS Application Cost Profiler handle costs for resources without tags in a shared environment? By using custom allocation rules. By assigning all untagged costs to a default application. By excluding untagged resources from cost allocation. By evenly splitting costs among all applications. How often can cost allocation rules be updated in AWS Application Cost Profiler? Annually. At any time, with immediate effect. Only at the start of each billing cycle. Once per quarter. Which AWS service can trigger Application Cost Profiler to update allocation rules based on changes in application architecture? AWS Service Catalog, AWS Config, AWS Systems Manager, AWS CloudFormation. How does AWS Application Cost Profiler handle cost allocation for Spot instances in shared environments? By assigning all Spot costs to a risk management category. By using custom rules based on application priority. By always allocating to the lowest cost application. By distributing equally due to their ephemeral nature. And that's a wrap. Thanks to everyone who participated. Remember, you can answer along on quizalto.com, where you can keep track of your progress and find much more quizzes. We hope you had a fun and challenging time. Until next time. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel for more. Hit the bell icon to be notified as soon as we upload. Please leave a comment if you have any thoughts or suggestions, and if you think this video is worth sharing with someone who could benefit from it, please forward a link to them. See you next time. Thanks for watching.